Let's take a closer look at the Hot Wheels Starships Select Gauntlet Fighter. Varykino, living the Star Wars life. Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Hot Wheels Starships Select Gauntlet Fighter as seen in The Mandalorian. I really like this ship. I am a fan of Bo-Katan, so I'm trying to collect items relating to her, and of course I am a fan of the Hot Wheels Starships Select line, and I'm also trying to collect as many of those as I can. So of course this was a must-have for me. So I'm very keen to open it up and take a closer look at the details, but first I'm going to take a closer look at the packaging. For starters, we have a pretty standard box design for the Hot Wheels Starship Select line. We've got the Star Wars logo here against a black background. These kind of fun grey stripes across, and then down the bottom we have the Hot Wheels logo. It says Starship Select, and the name of this particular vehicle is Gauntlet. We have the Mattel symbol, and this is intended for ages 4 and up. Personally, I think of these as more of collector items than toys, but to each their own. On the top, we have the faction symbol, and we can see that this is actually the Night Owl symbol, not the Mandalorian symbol. So we know that this is Bo-Katan's ship because of that symbol there. We have a bit of a top-down black and white line art of the ship itself there, and on the top hanger here, we can see that this is number 24 from the line and the name Gauntlet there as well. Lovely, nice big window there at the front so we can see the ship inside. It's a pretty cool presentation if you like to keep your ships boxed, but personally I think they look just a little bit cooler out of the box. I'm very keen to open it up. Let's take a closer look at the back. So here we can see that we've got a nice image of the Gauntlet Fighter out and on its matching display stand. We can see that faction logo there on the base as well, and we can see that we've got a little bit of rotation there so you can pose the ship, angle it a little bit. That's really fun, so it's not just clipped in dead straight. And here we can see some of the other ships that are also available in this wave. We've got a couple of new designs and a couple of reissues here. The Snowspeeder is from an earlier wave. It's actually quite low numbered. The Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter came out in a fairly recent wave, but it's kind of fun for fans if you missed out that they have a second chance with these reissues. The new ones in this wave include the Sandcrawler there. It's kind of fun to have a vehicle that is not on a flight base. It has a flat stand. Iconic Star Wars vehicle, really cool. And here we have one of the brand new prototype designs for this line, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Interceptor. And you can see that one has a white base, very different from the black bases used across the line. If you are interested in some other Hot Wheels Starships Select unboxings, I recently unboxed the Sandcrawler and the Prototype Interceptor. I'll have those videos linked down below if you want to see those ones in person. So there we go. The rest of the box is basically copyright information and safety warnings all over that. And we've got a little bit of window on each side there as well. So pretty cool packaging, but personally I think this one is going to look absolutely stunning out of the box. So let's get it open. So now I have the gauntlet and the stand out of the packaging. There's always a little bit of wrestling to get it out of that plastic tray. So before I take a closer look at the details here, just wanted to show you the cardboard insert in behind the packaging there. Like usual, we have a black and white blueprint art of the ships from this wave. So we can see we've got the Jedi Interceptor, the Jawa Sandcrawler, the Snowspeeder, lots of fun artwork in there. And it's a great little piece if you want to cut out and keep, if you don't want to keep all of your packaging. Just a fun little memento there of some neat Star Wars Starship art there. So I'll pop that to the side so we can take a closer look at the vehicle itself. It's always really fun getting your hands on these for the first time because of course they are largely metal, which is really quite fun. They feel very different to most of the other Star Wars collectibles that I own and collect. Don't usually find too many things made out of metal, apart from obviously the iconic Hot Wheels line. Now, at first glance, it's pretty even in terms of the paint job, but when I look really close, I can start to see where there are more plastic components to this, which is not surprising because we have some finer points here. So generally, for safety's sake, because this is an item in the kids section intended for ages 4 and up, we've got a little bit of safety here. So actually, the wings about here are plastic, and the nose piece here is plastic. So the pieces that are going to comprise these points here are all plastic. So to my eyes, we've got the metal sort of running in this section here, and then upwards is plastic, and along this section here, this is plastic, this is metal, and again on this other side, this all feels metal here, and then all plastic. Running just this little slip here, it's just plastic around the outside. But the paint job they have done is pretty even, and in the packaging I couldn't really discern it. You can see a little bit of the seam lines here, just kind of hiding in the sculpting. It's a pretty good overall effect. From a distance, you can't really tell what's metal and what's plastic. So one of the things that I really wanted to know about this particular vehicle is if you've watched The Mandalorian, particularly the season 3 episodes where you see Bo-Katan fly her Gauntlet fighter, you'll know that it's got some really interesting movement capabilities. So I want to see if this one will do it. And I kind of have my hopes up because it looks like we have some hinges in here. So I'm going to have a little bit of a twist, see if we can. Yes, yes, it moves. Cool. Okay, so we get this iconic shape that they make when they land, and they can also do some fun moves in flight as well. There is a really particularly cool move. Bo-Katan does this in season 3 of The Mandalorian, where she uses the wings to sort of do a fun maneuver. I think that that's really cool. Now, of course, these stands included in the Starships Select line are more for flight rather than, it's not a low stand for a landed position, rather flying. And I do think it looks pretty cool in this mode. It looks really big, honestly, for a Starship Select. It's one of the more broader ones that I've personally opened. So I think that that's really, really cool. So, of course, we've got a color scheme very befitting of Bo-Katan. We've kind of got this really cream white, very pale gray color, accented with her classic blue, of course. So it just really screams Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan's not really mentioned on the packaging for this particular item, besides that night owl faction symbol. But this does indeed look very, very much like it is supposed to be her one, of course, with that faction symbol there. No figures, of course, with this particular line. The cockpits do not open. There's just little black painted windows. There's nothing on the inside. And this is a pretty small cockpit anyway. I don't think I would actually be able to get anything in there. But the paintwork on this is really quite cool. We've got some subtle weathering going on, particularly around the hinge part here. It's a little bit darker. And going on towards the engines here in the back, we've got that sort of fun weathering. Now, taking a little bit of a closer look, I can see one tiny little paint flaw, which is unfortunate, but it does happen. We've got a little tiny little blue line here. And I don't think that's supposed to be there. It kind of looks like paint has trailed off from this blue section, which I've got to say is actually kind of a rarity for my experience with the Hot Wheels Starship Selects line. The paint jobs are generally pretty good. I'm generally, if I find them on the store shelves, I'm just looking at the weathering patterns because they are a little bit varied from ship to ship. And I just like to pick the one that I think vibes with me the best. Some are a little heavier, some are a little lighter. Sometimes they have a bit of a direction change. But other than that tiny little blue line, I'm liking the balance of the weathering here. You can see it kind of in the channels and in the sculpted details down here. And we've got a little bit down here by the engines. You can kind of see it around here and around here. And look at that, all that sort of accenting around the back here as well. A little bit more darker around this back section. And we've got little painted, little yellow, orangey sort of colors in the engine sections there. It's really nice. I love the blue. And we've got this really strong metallic dark silver here down this central piece here. And we've got that same metallics accenting around the engines here and around here. Really, really liking the paint job on this one. Really, really nice. And then on the underside, we've got more of the same. We've got that same pale grey color. We've got just a little bit of weathering over here, particularly around the engines, like on the top. We've got the blue. And of course we can see the rivets used to attach all of the components together. So because this one's got some movement, I can see quite a lot more rivets than I usually do on the underside of these vehicles. We've got a lot going on here. We've got 3 on the wings and we've got 3 on the main body as well. This one is the peg hole to attach onto the stand, which I'm going to do very shortly because I think they look absolutely amazing on their stand. And we can see just the sort of copyright information there on the underside. But yes, the plastic is fairly firm. I'm not too worried about this bending. And yeah, that's nice and sturdy. A little bit more flex on these long ones because of course the wings can move. I'm more likely to move them than bend them. And yes, when it's posed upright, we do have a little bit more visibility of those rivets, which I think is perhaps why I like it in its more traditional flight mode, because that does look a little bit more noticeable. But I like that they have included that feature, that it's not just a fixed wing position there. That's really nice. Oh, I love this ship. Looks really cool. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one down. Just cannot get just so much detail here. All of these tiny little sculpting lines. It's just so very pretty. Okay, I'm going to pop that down and we'll get the flight stand out of the box. So in the underside of the packaging, we have this black cardboard box that includes the 2 pieces that are going to make our stand. So let's open this up. And we have the base plate wrapped up in tissue paper. And then we have the little stand there that we're going to rest that ship on top. So let's get this all assembled. So we've got the base plate in black, and of course the tissue paper was protecting the silver printing here. We have the Night Owl symbol in a metallic silver ink with Gauntlet Starfighter, which is kind of interesting because on the outer box it just says Gauntlet with the TM. This says Gauntlet Starfighter TM. It's kind of interesting that it's a little bit different there, just a little bit dusty from being in all that packaging there. Across the front edge, we have the Star Wars logo stamped on the left and the Hot Wheels logo stamped on the right. So very cool. So let's get this assembled. This should click in nicely. There we go. I like that sound. Knows that it's securely in there. And let's get this connected all together so that we can see what it looks like on its display stand. So I find that these just take a little bit of gentle pressure and they slowly sort of fit into place. It's nice because you're pressing down on metal. I'm not too worried about breaking that section. And it is a pretty nice snug fit because these are metal. You do want them to be secure on their base. And that looks absolutely amazing. You really see the width of that compared to the base. And even though it has a little bit of an overhang, it's very sturdy. I don't feel like this is going to tip over. And because it is on a bit of a ball joint, we've got some really interesting posability. We can pose it down if you want to see the top angle when it's on your shelf. We can have it angled up, like following the flow of the stand, like it's taking off. I think that looks fun too. And of course, because it is a ball joint, you can spin it around 360 like indicated on the back of the box, so you can get some really interesting angles, which is great if you've got a little bit of a crowded display space. You can find the right position to fit them all beside each other, because this one is a little bit broad. So I also want to check out how it looks if we tip these up. So of course this is going a little bit out of frame because it is very tall, but yes, you can display it with the wings up there if you want to. But again, you can see the attachment points under this underside. So I'm not too fussed about doing that, but if you want to, that looks perfectly fine. I think it does look just a little bit cooler like that, so you can see all of that cool detail there. That just looks absolutely awesome. I am really enjoying this Hot Wheels line. There are so many fun Star Wars ships, and of course I am a fan of the Micro Galaxy Squadron line as well. We've done many unboxings here. There is something fun about having everything in this kind of bite-sized packaging, like everything is the same size, so you can have a bookshelf with the same sized shelves and get them all in a row. It looks really, really fun. So speaking of Micro Galaxy Squadron, I have their version of the Gauntlet Starfighter on hand. I'm just going to adjust the camera angle and we can see those two side by side. So here we have the Hot Wheels Starship Select Gauntlet beside the Micro Galaxy Squadron Gauntlet, and we can see there is a big size difference. If I get the two together, you can see the main body of the ship is very, very big. So we know because this one has the Night Owl symbol on it, it is supposed to be Bo-Katan's. We've got that gorgeous blue color. What I think is interesting about the Micro Galaxy Squadron version is this is silver. There isn't any blue on it, and it does include a figure. If I can get the little cockpit open, we can see that this one does actually include a little Bo-Katan figure. So this is supposed to be Bo-Katan's fighter, but it is a little bit odd that it doesn't have her iconic blue coloring to it. So we can see that they both can do that iconic wing up position. This one does come with landing gear, so you can pose it standing up like this as well, though this Gauntlet fighter does not come with a stand to raise it up like the Hot Wheels version here. So if I adjust this one's wings come down one at a time and they kind of click into position. So if I just put that one there for a minute, I will say the sort of rubbery plastic tip ends on this one are a lot more flexible. I know the wings will move, but they're just, this one has a little bit of a tendency to curve a little bit. You can kind of see it's not completely dead straight. Whereas this one, the plastic feels a little bit more sturdier. It is going to keep its position. So now we can kind of see the two of them together there, and you can see the scale of them and just how different that sort of paint, and the fact that this is sort of metal with that blue and grey, and this one is full plastic with silver and grey coloring, which I think is really interesting. So I'm just going to hold these two like this so we can see them a little bit more of a direct comparison side by side. Perhaps if I do it like that. And to be honest, I'm not trying to say which one is better. I think that's going to be a very personal preference from collector to collector. You know, I can see some things that I like about this one and some things that I like more about this one. But if you are fortunate enough and are a fan of Bo-Katan and her Gauntlet Starfighter, why not get both? I say, I want to be able to put these together with some figures and other collectibles featuring Bo-Katan. I absolutely love her in The Mandalorian, and I'm excited to see that her iconic ship is getting added to the line of classic Star Wars ships. So there we go. Just going to put this one back in its landed mode here, so we can see that one there next to this one here. I will say I do particularly like the inclusion of stands in the Hot Wheels line. I think it gives a really nice uniform look when they are all on a display shelf, and it does let you do some interesting flight mode poses that the Micro Galaxy Squadron ones do not. If I put this one with its wings down, it just looks a little bit more flat on the desk. Whereas on that stand, it just looks really, really cool in the Hot Wheels version. Got to get some stands for my Micro Galaxy Squadron starships because they do look pretty cool. It does look pretty cool in a landed position. So, you know, I think the way that I personally will display them is like this. If I want to build a bit of a Bo-Katan character display with some figures, some Black Series, some vintage collection action figures and things like that. I think this makes an interesting collection. So there you go. Pop that one out of the way so we can take one last closer look at this fabulous Hot Wheels Starships Select Gauntlet Starfighter. Absolutely love the paint job on this. That color is just so iconic. Just that one tiny little paint flaw, but honestly, I'm really not going to notice that much once I've put this on display. So much detail in this ship line. Really am enjoying it, and I can't wait to see which ships Hot Wheels announces for this line next. We've got numbers 1 through 25 so far, with some variants and some convention exclusives. Really can't wait to see what we're going to get. Maybe we'll get some Phantom Menace ones for the 25th anniversary coming up next month. I would love to see some of that. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching my Hot Wheels Starship Select Gauntlet Starfighter unboxing. Now I can't wait to put this one on display. I'll have some of my other Starship Selects unboxings, including the new ones from the most recent wave, linked down below for you to check out. Catch you in the next video, and as always, may the Force be with you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.